What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets React, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. So excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to
200K. And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Time now for Media Watch. France, my guest Emma James joins me now. Good evening to you, Emma. You've been looking at reaction in Kenya to some rather, let's say, inflammatory comments on an international broadcaster, which have led to a new hashtag, which is Someone Tell CNN. Tell us a little bit more about this.
It is one of those stories where, as a journalist, you do feel a little bit there, but for the grace of God go I. And it does make you a little bit nervous. But basically, it would seem that the entire world is criticising CNN right now. The Independent tweets that Kenyans are ridiculing the US network on Twitter for its hotbed of terror report. And if we take a look at this image here, you actually see this is what was being broadcast on air, and the strap at the bottom of the screen reads "Security fears as Obama heads to terror hotbed." And it's those two words that people in Kenya are objecting to. They say that they are the victims of terror, not the place where terror is actually breeding, because of course the Al-Shabaab militants, which is what's being talked about here, are based in Somalia, just over the border. Now CNN has actually obviously realised that some of the criticism is at least valid, because they have changed the headline on their website for the report that actually this relates to. Obama's trip raises security concerns, they now say. But if you scroll down, you look at the opening lines from this piece by Barbara Starr, and it says President Barack Obama is not just heading to his father's homeland, but to a region that's a hotbed of terror. So they really haven't entirely stepped away from the use of that phrase. The Washington Post, among those reporting that Kenyans are ridiculing CNN online, they say rather, I suppose perhaps kindly, in the global news game, it's easy to make overstatements. Other people.
All right, so obviously you guys know this is old, but once again, you guys are now seeing firsthand how the media, television, and news outlets create this this narrative about a location that's obviously false.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what me and C have been explaining on this channel since the beginning of us reacting to the continent of Africa. Since children, we have seen videos of commercials about how Africa is just poor, right? So here's another example of them doing the exact same thing, but this is trying to stop, obviously, the president and other people from coming behind them from visiting Kenya, which is terrible, bro. It's like, that's terrible.
Yeah, it is, but think about how they view different groups of people here. When there's something in the news of a person, you know, a tragedy happens, depending on who the person is, they'll use certain words.
Certain words, the power of
They'll
that.
bring up a person's past or history, or, you know, just something that's triggering. Clickbait.
To match the pitch, to match the message as much as possible. It's crazy.
It makes me think of that movie we watched. The movie about police brutality, of course, but when the guy locked them all in the police...
Okay.
What do you call it? The headquarters, and he got some inmates to be the jurors.
Yeah.
And
real feelings came out.
Yeah,
bro.
dang it! What is that movie? It's the guy.
I hate that I don't remember it.
It's the actor who played Nat Turner. I can't think of his name right now, but it makes me think about that movie.
Yeah. So if you know what movie she's talking about, or and you can't get the name of it, just to paint a picture, it's like the gentleman had something happen to him, and he got all his friends to come into the house, and then something happened to his child. So he went to the actual officer's home, picked the cop up, brought him to the police station.
That was the chief.
The chief of there was a chief of the department, which made everybody else go chaotic, because it's like, don't hurt the chief.
Yeah.
So he put him in the hot seat, and he kind of made him explain, why did you profile? Why did you do the things you do as an officer? And they had a whole huge discussion I feel like everybody need to have.
Man, that was such a good movie.
It was really good. It was really good. We need the name, y'all. We need that name.
Being less forgiving about this one, the Global Post says, Barack Obama is visiting Kenya, his father's birth nation, and the question on everyone's mind, if by everyone you mean CNN, is whether he'll make it out alive. You see, according to the self-proclaimed most trusted name in news, Kenya is a hotbed of terror.
It reminds me of those times after the Paris attacks when people were saying certain districts of Paris were hotbeds of terror, and in fact, we would never
Exactly.
The
No
world
go
is
thought of them
a
as such.
terror.
Exactly, no-go
Hot
zones they were
meat.
called. What sort of a
Hot spots.
response are you seeing to all of this then on social media?
Well, the interesting thing is, it's actually quite heartwarming because often when there's a backlash on social media, because of the anonymity it affords people, people can become very aggressive, very unpleasant, and a lot of what they have to say, they wouldn't necessarily say to anyone's face. But what we see with these tweets is a lot of
Whoa,
People are warriors. That's how they be.
say that again.
That's how they be.
Let her cook,
Listen.
boy. They some people just built different. They literally for the internet streets.
They are, and I had to learn that the hard way because I had to tell myself that, Sierra, this is not real life, because I don't like disrespect. You know that. I don't like disrespect, and people would say things, and the way I would handle it in real life, I was trying to do that on the internet, and I'm like, you know what? These people wouldn't tell this to me in my face.
Right,
when we
right.
meet people outside in the streets,
Yeah.
it's love. It's never, you said this and I ain't like this, and the way you breathe is just so triggering. Stop watching.
Yeah, basically. Basic math, man. 1 plus 1 is 2. Yeah, let her cook. Why?
people can become very aggressive, very unpleasant, and a lot of what they have to say, they wouldn't necessarily say to anyone's face.
Yo.
But what we see with these tweets is a lot of pride in people's
Kenyans love their
own
home.
identity and a lot of pride in their country.
Until
And this
lions have
particular
their
one
own stories.
is a quote from a
Ooh.
Favorite
Nigerian
quote.
novelist, Chinua Achebe.
Did not see that
Until
coming.
lions have their own historians, history of the
No.
hunt will always glorify the hunter.
Yes.
Others are drawing parallels with the United States, saying if your country is a cool bed of peace as opposed to a hotbed of terror, why is it necessary to guard the president this way in your streets? It's a valid question to be asked. This Twitter user is talking about the fact that
Was
yesterday
that
they were
last
calling
year?
Kenya a hotbed. Is this peace? And of course, that's an image there
9
from
years ago.
the
That's
latest
last
mass
year.
shooting in the United
Wow.
States.
I
That's
was like,
similar
by that
shooting.
store?
No, that's
Was it-
on Johnson Street.
In front of the store,
The
what it-
theater. No, babe.
Oh, no,
When
no.
that
I'm thinking
man
about
went up
something
in the
else.
theater. Y'all, that one was close to home. That's actually down the street from Dion's
Yeah, that's
hometown.
neck of the woods, like 1,000%.
Ooh.
Which saw 2 people killed and the gunman himself. So a lot of people drawing comparisons. This one, I don't need to look too hard to spot the hotbed of terror, because this graph shows the gun-related murder rates in the developed world, and yes, you've guessed it, on the right-hand side, in the red, far higher than everyone else, is the United States. Now, the Kenyan Interior Minister has actually called on CNN to apologise. So far, there's been no apology made, but it would appear that Kenyans are making the best of this, because if we look at this report from Capital FM, which is a Kenyan radio station, they say that Kenyans are using the hashtag #SomeoneTellCNN to actually
ASAP.
showcase the brand of Kenya, if you like. And people are really talking about what it means to them to be Kenyan, what they're proud of, what Kenya means to them. And you're getting images like this amazing lion. Someone tell CNN that this is magical Kenya. Wildlife featuring very widely in these kind of images, and also cityscapes as well, to show that it isn't just the aftermath of terror attacks
Africa,
that you
the
see in
media
Kenya. There's
never
also a
shows.
great deal of beauty there too. There's also obviously a lot of humour. Kenyans won't give up. I'm still waiting for the CNN apology, says this Twitter user. And my favourite cartoon from the Daily Nation, which is a Kenyan newspaper, someone tell CNN, CNN, the error hotbed.
Makes me want to go to Kenya, actually, looking at those pictures you just showed there. And some comments coming from far and wide, as we can see. One of them that you've picked out for us has come from none other than a former anchor on CNN. And interesting because she herself was born and brought up in Kenya.
Yes, she says, Zane Vergie, this is, she says her family has a 100-year history in Kenya, and so she feels very strongly that this is unfair. She said she rolled her eyes when she saw the term that was being used by CNN. And she says that a lot of Kenyans are very unhappy about it. However,
As
she
they should
also
be.
goes on to defend CNN in some ways, saying words like hotbed catch the viewer's eye and drive up ratings. It's the American TV business, not...
Yeah, it's
It's a
a
business.
clickbait. It's clickbait, but still, as journalists, as anybody who has a platform, you have a
A
responsibility.
responsibility. Yeah.
You can't just say words and just put words in the atmosphere as if There's just nothing.
Yeah.
Words hold power. They have power. So
Words
nah,
shift narratives, perspectives.
do.
Shout out to the
They
Kenyans
do.
though, man. They stood and they pushed back 1,000%. And they got it to the CNN. I believe so, right? They got it to CNN to speak about it.
To apologize.
To
I'm not
apolo-
sure if they actually did. Y'all let us know.
Yeah. But that's the thing, man. You have people that just believe anything sometimes, especially without doing their own research. I'm talking about to a certain extent of your age. At certain ages, you're looking at things and, as kids and whatnot, they're believing it. But when you hit a certain age, I think that's a responsibility you need to take and not be so easily, subconsciously taking in information just to run around and tell everybody something that's not true.
Right.
You got to have your own strong conscience for these type of
You,
situations.
You can't depend on everybody's thought to become yours.
Exactly.
You have to have your own mind, your own thoughts. Filter everything you hear
Got
and
to.
see.
I'll just change your filter.
Yes. It's supposed to be changed every 30 days.
I'll just change your filter. Yes,
Okay.
so y'all filters are so dirty.
Go check it.
Ooh, Lord.
That's why you're
Just
hot at
about
night.
That's why
Kenya.
you got it.
Africa is still perceived by the majority.
For real, the filter be dirty.
The filter
Dry
be
air.
dirty, bruh.
You wondering why you're waking up with a sore throat. Go change the filter.
Bruh. Just so never mind. Okay. All right, let's go.
It goes on to defend CNN in some ways, saying words like hotbed catch the viewer's eye and drive up ratings. It's the American TV business, not just about Kenya. Africa is still perceived by the majority of US writers and producers as a dangerous place, that it's all pretty much the same. Now, as defences go, it's not the strongest one of CNN's editorial policy on this. She also goes on to then do exactly the same thing to other countries that she complains has happened to Kenya. She labels Iraq, Afghanistan and Libya as being, well, those are the kind of countries that we're talking about being hotbeds of terror. Now, there is an element of terror breeding ground, but if we're talking about the generalisation and her problem with that, she's just done exactly the same thing. Interestingly, CNN, it's pointed out by Nairobi News, it's not the first time that CNN have got things wrong when reporting Africa. Lots of errors in terms of maps. It would appear they're a little lacking when it comes to knowledge of geography. They put that Nairobi is in Nigeria, for example. But the worst one is where they actually paid actors to pretend to be militants who were arming themselves ahead of the threat of post-election violence in 2013. So that's really the worst thing we've seen. But to end on a lighter note, little bit risque this one, hope you're not too sensitive to these things. Someone tells CNN that the last time a Kenyan made a bed hot in Hawaii, it produced a president of the United States.
Okay, well, I'm going to avoid the words hot and bed, I think, for the next few weeks. I think in any kind of story that I'm covering, hotbed is a no-go word for me from now on. Thank you very much, Emma James there, with today's edition of Media Watch.
All right, we're going to stop it right there, man. This is interesting. It goes to the time where I think, what was it? Was it Jamaica when it was like everybody shouldn't go? Mm-hmm. It was recent, right? Mm-hmm. And then we also had some fellow YouTubers that we know of that went there, and it was proven to everybody like it's good. I don't know why the news is trying to prove to us that something is wrong.
Right.
Which is like, so they did the same thing here. But even till today, Kenyans are doing great. Like, the country is thriving, so it's peaceful.
Although they're going through a conflict right now.
Oh, gotta mention so. They're getting it done. Again, just like how they made moves here, they're making the same moves to this day, and they're thriving and serious about it.
They're very passionate people who love their country, as they should.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, y'all. We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Peace.